Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have quite a few things going on over here where it seems like the gaming industry is kind of being in a really bad spot. We have one really big thing of one of the big AAA games you guys have probably heard of is actually now been shutting down, permanently being taken out. And so we also have a lot of protests and strikes now on the way. And of course, we have a little bit of kind of wholesome good news to wind down the video because a lot of stuff going on. So we have some big stuff to go talk about. And as well, if any of you guys want to, we have been both checking out Starfield on the Twitch stream down below, probably live as of right this second. If you just want to say hi, or as well, tomorrow we'll be getting probably really drunk and embarrassing ourselves. So if you guys want to be on part of either one of those, I got you guys. So let's go and, well, dive into the actual video itself, and hopefully you guys don't mind. Give me your thoughts and comments down below. And of course, follow all the socials down below. So first and foremost, this is actually kind of some kind of big news where Saints Row, as you guys probably heard throughout the years or have heard about the games or even played the most recent rendition or whatever it might be, is now being shut down. Saints Row developer Volition is now being permanently shut down as of right this second, and this was kind of really big news throughout these past 24 hours or so, although it was a little bit more focused on Starfield, because Embracer Group is basically going and doing a massive restructuring, and well, everything has now been affected. We are seeing public statements, and also, like I said, even on other aspects of the gaming industry, we're now seeing things even being shut down too as well, saying the studio was one of those affected by Embracer Group's restructuring efforts after a $2 billion investment deal with Saudi Arabia's Savvy Games Group actually fell through, and they didn't have a chance to get all the funding that they needed to maintain up all of these games. So Volition, makers of both Red Faction, which is a really well-beloved series, and Saints Row, is shutting down for good. The news was announced in the company's LinkedIn account as around 12:30 p.m. ET, or right after the views for Starfield went live. In the post, the company explained that the reason for Volition's closure was tied to the parent company and Embracer Group's new restructuring program. Now, this is a little bit on the sadder side. It's kind of think like, let's say like Microsoft ran into big funding issues, and then they had to go and shut down Xbox or shut down Bethesda. Now, thankfully, that will probably not happen for a very long time, if ever, due to funding, the amount of money they make, lost leaders, etc. Sometimes some game companies are not as well funded. And something like Saints Row, probably with how poorly the sales went, how mediocre the game was, and the fact that people probably would not be buying or clamoring to get some DLC for it, probably could cost a lot of people their jobs. This past June, Embracer Group announced a restructuring program to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry. The announcement read, as part of that program, they evaluated strategic and operational goals and made the difficult decision to close Volition effective immediately. So this is like one of those bigger game companies such as Saints Row are just gone. Like they just don't have the funding. They can maybe get picked up by a separate company or pick up the IP or whatever, but yeah, this is horrible. Back in June, Embracer Group announced this restructuring program after the news broke that a $2 billion investment deal with the company has fallen through. Through Embracer kept secret who was on the other side of that deal, Axios reported that was none other than the Savvy Games Group, the gaming arm of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. As a result of the deal's failure, Embracer said that it would be restructuring the company. So basically, they were trying to get a lot of funding and get some equity raise money and be like, hey, we need $100 million to keep operations going, but we'll give you a percentage of the company and maybe future profits. We'll turn the company profitable, go for the risk, why not? And sadly, it seemed like that did not go through. So all these game companies such as Saints Row that totally flopped, even though the IP is strong, though maybe not so much right now, that means that they basically have to be like, hey, you guys didn't make any money, we can't wait another 4 years of paying out salaries for a potential another flop, you guys kind of failed, you got to get on out. So Embracer said it'll be restructuring this entire company, including pausing development on some games, reducing spending, and selling off or shutting down studios, and Volition is seemingly the first such studio publicly impacted by this big restructuring, stating that, hey, we just can't deal with it. It was formed back in 1993 as Parallax Software, developers of the Descent series of video games, had Volition before creating the Summoner, Red Faction, and Saints Row franchises. It was acquired by THQ in 2000, and similarly so to Deep Silver when THQ filed for bankruptcy in 2017. In 2022, Volition launched a reboot series of the Saints Row, and it did not have good reviews. Then a chance to go and thank everyone out there, but it's kind of crazy to see that the video game company is still not doing hot. Now, some even bigger stuff, though, is in terms of gaming protesting, where this could be rough. The SAG-AFTRA gears up for the possible strike against video game industry as board approves authorizations vote by guild members. Now, typically, we don't usually like strikes. In terms of like, we like the idea of people that are engaged, like people trying to get fair pay, benefits, money, like kind of get everything to the industry standard. We like this, but we don't necessarily like the idea of like, say, writers or video game stuff being paused or delayed. It's one of those things that if people think it's necessary, I usually support people that are, out and about protesting. I do respect it. Like, I think it's like them trying to get equal rights. I respect that. But one of the bigger things is that obviously that paused a lot of video game development, the writers, et cetera, storyboarders, and it does make the video game industry even more scary. So SAG-AFTRA, which has been on strike against film and scripted TV productions since July 14th, is now gearing up for another possible strike, and this one against the video game industry. The Guild's last strike against the gaming companies in 2016-17 lasted 183 days. So once again, I always say I usually do support these types of things. If people are striking, they usually want to do it for, like I said, better pay, better treatment, having to have more equality on it. Like, I'm cool with that. These are just working people who want to be treated right and well. But like I said, it does go into layout video game production, development, a lot of various other things as well. Or just sometimes you have to go have a lot more additional hires. It does make things a little bit more difficult, but it's fine. I think we support that. The Guild's National Board has voted unanimously to send a strike authorization vote to members in preparation of its upcoming bargaining dates with 10 signatory video game companies. Voting for the strike authorization will begin on September 5th, and it will end on September 25th. And there's actually some really big names on this too as well. You guys can already kind of see for some of these. Here we go again, said SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher. Now, our interactive video game agreement is at a stalemate too as well. Once again, we are facing employer greed and disrespect. Once again, artificial intelligence is putting our members in jeopardy of reducing their opportunity to work. And once again, SAG-AFTRA is standing up to tyranny on behalf of its members. It's also one of those things, too, where they're trying their best to, be like, hey, AI is taking over a lot of roles. AI is basically just used like a chat GPT to come up with stories. In all honesty, I could see people utilizing that, but as of right this second, it doesn't seem right. Like, you could pretty much go and tell something is an AI. You could pretty much go and tell something is mediocre. You can pretty much go and tell if it's just not a good vibe and it's not written by a normal person, although sometimes I've seen a lot of really mediocre stories, movies, TV shows, or video games that are in that same exact boat. Or you can just kind of tell that they're just made by just people with either like an agenda or they're not good. So you want to know what? It's one of those weird things where I'm not really the biggest fan of AI. I don't like AI kind of taking stuff from artists and just having a chance not to, be good. But I also understand that a lot of these things will be utilized over time. But I don't think that people should be out of the jobs, especially if they're using their old ideas or old storyboards or whatever it might be on this. The overlap of those two SAG-AFTRA contracts that she said is no coincidence, but rather a predictable issue impacting our industry as well as others all over the world. This disease of greed is spreading like wildfire, ready to burn workers out of their livelihoods and humans out of their usefulness. We at SAG-AFTRA said no, not on our watch, which I respect. Like I said, I'm usually a fan of someone who strikes. It does have its own implications and other different types of things, but at the same time, you need these people to have their jobs. They need to go and fight for their rights, and usually striking does that a lot more for people in general. You guys can agree or disagree down below, obviously, but the 10 companies facing a possible strike are Activision Productions. That's a big one. I'm sure letting you guys know Activision. Blindlight LLC, Disney Character Voices, EA, so Electronics Arts Productions, Epic Games, Formosa, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, VoiceWorks, and WB Games. These are some of the biggest gaming industries in the entire planet, and this is actually really scary for video games as a whole, let alone the fact that Saints Row was completely shut down as of this point, pretty much. The fact that all these other big various games, such as you guys can literally see Activision, Epic Games, Insomniac, WB Games, Take-Two, all these games will also be on a halt. So Audrey Cooling, a spokesperson for the video game company, said, "We all want a fair contract that reflects the important contributions of SAG-AFTRA represented performers in an industry that delivers world-class entertainment to billions of players around the world. We are negotiating in good faith and hope to reach a mutually beneficial deal as soon as possible." It was nearly a year since SAG-AFTRA's video games contract. The interactive media agreement was extended beyond the original expiration date as we negotiated with the companies for critical terms that the members need. The Guild sent a statement. Unfortunately, through the negotiations, the companies have failed to address those needs, and for this reason, the negotiating committee and national board unanimously agreed that this union should have a member-approved strike authorization in hand when the bargaining resumes on September 26th. Basically saying if we can't go get a resolution, we're going to strike. Although key issues like wages that keep up with with inflation and protections against unrestrained use of artificial intelligence are common sticking points in negotiations. The interactive media video game agreement was a separate contract from the TV, theatrical, and streaming contracts against which SAG-AFTRA members are currently striking. Work under the video game contract includes a great deal of performance capture, where trained professionals, think like mocap, many of those are stunt performers, provide digitally captured performances, and think like even movie people as well. And on top of this too, they want to have AI protection, saying that they want to have these wage increases as well for video game performers. As for those who work under the film and television contracts, they want 11% retroactive to expiration and 4% increase in the second and third years of the agreement too as well to keep up with inflation. So it does seem like a strike is on the way. And last but not least, there's a Stardew cooking book, which looks adorable. If you guys ever want me to go make some cool little food for this, let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Birthday stuff going on Twitch and also Starfield, so definitely go swing on over there if you guys are bored. Follow the Twitter. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Give me your thoughts and comments down below, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.